If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
Today's guest on Horse Chat is Kim Logue, who's the host of HoofBeats Radio in Guelph in Canada. But before we get started, I just want to remind you about the vision of International Horse College. The vision is to have a world where people safely appreciate, respect and enjoy their horses, and the horses appreciate, respect and enjoy their people. If you've got the same vision as International Horse College, have a look at the website, internationalhorsecollege.com, registered training organisation 31352. Now, Kim, I'm pretty excited to talk to you today, all the way from Guelph in Canada, and talking about radio. You know, with podcasts, radio, people used to ask me, what's a podcast anyway? And I'd sort of say, well, it's like an online radio show. And as soon as I said radio, they understood. But, you know, when I first started podcasting, the word podcast was fairly new to the ears of a lot of people.
It's true. It's so true.
Now, your favourite inspirational quote, Kim? I've got it here, but you tell me, because sometimes people get on and they tell me this is their favourite inspirational quote when they first, organised to come on, and then a few days later or a few weeks later they say, oh, no, this is my favourite inspirational quote now. So tell us what you think.
There's always so many to choose from, but I like that one about this secret. There is no secret as close as that between a horse and their rider.
Yep.
I just love that one because there is a special intimacy with the horse that you don't get with other animals, even if you're an animal lover. So it just captures that relationship with the magical beings that we all love so much.
Definitely. You just watch even just young girls that come and they may not have been very close to a horse before, but they come and they're ready for their first lesson and they've got to come up and have that bit of a conversation with the horse before they actually get started, you know?
Well, and you think about therapeutic riding associations. I mean, it's therapeutic for many, many, many reasons.
Yes, I agree, yeah. Kim, tell us a little bit about the radio show.
So I started it many, many, many years ago. I was a horse person all my life. You know, I was one of those girls that you just described, in love with the horses wherever I could see them.
Yep.
And I got riding lessons and got started. And I had a career in banking at the same time. So as an adult, I was eventing and I had a corporate sponsorship. So I had somebody who had a horse that I rode and she helped me. Well, she insisted actually that I compete him. And she was helping us with our training expenses and our showing expenses. And I was doing all of that on the side of my career. And when I needed to transition out of that career, I thought, I'm going to go do things with horses.
Mm-hmm.
And I took a course by a more local online horse college that we have here in Guelph. I took an equine journalism course at that time.
Okay.
And decided to get certified in Canada as an instructor. And I thought, well, you know, I have a lot of friends in media. I have a lot of friends that are musicians and they're doing media all the time. I think I could handle learning to be media. And so CFRU at the University of Guelph offers a free orientation and training program. And I thought that I would take that and start a show because I don't want another degree or diploma. I just want to do stuff.
Yep.
And to horse people.
Yes.
So I'd started as a volunteer endeavor, like I always say 100 years ago, but I think it was like in 2007. And it's evolved. It's been a changing thing. And now I need to start copying your model and become a podcast. So I feel it's cheating. but I have a lot of questions for you about the podcast.
Absolutely. The podcast, I think, the reason I prefer it to radio is you keep going. You've got it. You know, you can go back, you can go over all the old shows. And I do notice that a lot of radio shows are also putting their old shows on podcasts.
They're starting to do that more, yeah. And you started in 2017?
Yeah.
So what, can you tell me about, what got you started?
I actually went on, because we've got the International Horse College, so it's not, people think, but it's all online. It's not online. There's still practical. So we use a lot of the practical, and we use a lot of coach and experts in different areas to do the practical for us. So while we do the theory online and a lot of the preparation for practical, we still need to do the practical. So I was on a road trip and I had to go through a lot of areas where there wasn't radio. You can only listen to so much music.
Interesting, yeah.
And I wanted to do something that was a bit more, I suppose, educational. So there were a couple of podcasts, actually not too many, a couple, that I sort of downloaded those shows and listened, and then I got to areas and I think, well, I've run out of podcasts. And I actually started off to have a daily podcast. So we did that for I think the first 500 episodes, 500 or 400 episodes, quite a few episodes. Then we went to 3 times a week. So even at 3 times a week, there's still a fair bit of content out there.
Yeah.
And I think just thinking about our numbers, our listeners went up and then dropped a bit when we went to 3 times a week, but now they're up higher than what they were 7 times a week anyway. So
are they subscribers, do you think?
Some people subscribe. They don't need to. I think it's better if they do, because in that way they can go back and there's a bit of a record of what they've listened to and what they haven't listened to. And when a new one comes up, then they'll say, right, well, I haven't listened to that. But it's also a little bit of, if they go to the website and they're particularly interested in a particular area, because I just want to talk to horse people. I'm not restricting it to just show jumping or just one particular area. I want to talk to horse people because a lot of horse people are all of the same mind. And it's like that secret that you said before, about there's the secret that's so close between a horse and rider. Just a horse and the person.
It's always the horse. It's always the horse and the person.
So no matter what you go off to do, you've still got that bond. So while I have, I still do stuff with my horses and I still have the college and everything, but I think the podcast has allowed me to just talk to a lot more people and talk about horses, talk about feeding horses. Well, different people have different ways of feeding horses and training horses, but there's still a lot of commonalities between, someone that's got a cutting horse and someone that's got a stud or a dressage horse, or there's so much that's similar, and the handling. And I think I love bringing the science into it as well, because I think there's a lot more science now that's proving old wives' tales or disproving them, and I think we either need to prove them or disprove them, and good when we do. Yeah. But anyway, we need to know a little bit about you. So tell us, you were eventing.
I loved eventing. It's just sort of, I always say that I'm an eventer by nature because I'm not active right now. And I had my first bone density test when I turned 50 years old, and it's changed my opinion about galloping around in those huge, fields with those obstacles that don't fall down, and also riding the naughtiest horse in the barn. I had a career out of riding the horse that no one else wanted to ride. And I'm moving into a different mindset now, just for, I don't know, self-preservation in my old age or whatever it is. So I'm an eventer by nature.
Okay.
And mostly I just want to go out and hack.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to go out and travel the world with my horse buddy and get our little exercise workout together while we bond and have fun. And I have a huge interest also in driving more recently, combined driving and pleasure driving.
Yes.
Which is such a strange, small, expensive, elitist world. It's tiny.
It is a small world, but I can see it growing and improving all the time. I'm actually on a working party now that's, on a couple of different, I'm always doing different things. But yeah, I was talking to someone last night about something that we're doing with the driving and just the improving in the dressage tests. And now in Australia, we're using dressage judges. So I sort of come in, the dressage judges combining the two, so that the driving improves with the knowledge of the dressage judges.
Yes. Well, because the test makes the training that people do. Yeah. So what's your horse background? Because you never hear it, like in any of the podcasts I've listened to. We don't hear anything about you.
Eventing mainly, but, started in Pony Club and came up
Pony Club.
Yeah. And then when I was in the States, actually, I was eventing. So we had someone from USET come down to give us regular workshops, and I was in an eventing barn. So that was Rocking Horse Ranch in Florida. And I was in that barn. I worked there for a while and, got hooked on eventing, and then came back to Australia and went, I'm an eventer and now, and I think loved it, just loved it. I think, just straight away. But then also too, you're an eventer, so you also go out and do some show jumping. You also go out and do some dressage. So, competed at FVI and sort of jumped at Royals and have done a few 3 days. So, but I think that's my competitive background.
Right. And how many horses, how active hands-on are you these days?
Oh, no, I just have one horse that I ride mainly. I shouldn't say that because I teach on a few and I'll jump on the horses when I teach. Yeah, so probably not competitive now, but I still do a lot, and do a lot more. And I think very much in the way of horse behaviour, I think. Like watching horses and communicating and letting them tell you things. And, so I'm lucky enough to have quite a few horses here and have staff, and I can I remember I was working in a racehorse stable one time for TJ Smith, and it's Gay Waterhouse's father, and he would come along and just walk through the stable, and then at the end of it he'd say, well, there's that wrong and that wrong and that wrong and that wrong, and you think, well, you weren't even looking at that, But people, because one member of staff will sort of meet someone who's worked for me before and say, you've got to watch her because she does those things. And I think, I don't mean to, but then you just do, you can't help it. You just walk around and you see things that are wrong. So
yeah, one of the things that media has done for me, is the more I learn about horses, the more I want to know, all these unique little disciplines or interests, or like you said, the science that's coming into it. Yeah, I want to know more about how chewing impacts their gut health.
Yes.
It all comes together.
And about wetting down feed or not wetting down feed. And if you leave them with water and don't wet the feed, then they may chew more and that might be better for the gut health. Just little things like that. But it's like, I wouldn't say that for sure because, I might ask someone and they'll say, oh, no, that's fine, that you can wet down feed. And certainly wet down feed when it's dusty or it shouldn't be dusty anyway. But, I think you always learn. And it's always interesting talking to people.
Absolutely, yeah. One of the things I noticed about your, model or podcast or project that you're doing is that you launched it with the idea of reaching the rising stars in the horse world. So I was thinking that that's not just the established equine industry experts, but the younger people. But none of the podcasts I've connected to so far
have got the rising stars. I think the idea is I've got a couple of interviews and then interview them a little bit later when they have proven that they've been a rising star.
Okay, great concept.
Yeah.
I've just started working with some students at the University of Guelph. So once again, I might steal your idea.
Yes, we'll interview them now and ask their opinion on a few different things. And then you can interview them, a little bit later. Actually, I've got someone that I did interview 2 years ago and I'm about to do another interview with them and ask them their opinions on a few other things. And then put it all together. Yeah. Anyway, that's the idea. Kim, tell me, what do you think is the best thing about working in the industry? Now, thinking that you're in the same as I am, this is what we do, your radio podcast. What's the best thing that you think? And this is just generally working in the horse industry. Why do people get into the horse industry? Why do you think?
For me personally, it's just the horse. It's the smell of them. It's the sound of them chewing. It's the way they look at me and I know where they're seeing me in their range of vision. It's just that I just want to be around them all the time. So I don't mind carrying the heavy load, or lifting the heavy wheelbarrow or whatever it is to do the work to be around them. So if I can't ride them, I still want to be around them, just to watch them and see them and smell them and hear them.
Yes. You talk about carrying the load and the heavy wheelbarrow, but there's a certain amount of fitness that comes in there. It's not just, oh, damn, I've got to do this. I mean, sometimes you do say that, but then, you look at other people or people think, oh, gee, you're fit. Well, I didn't plan to be fit. I just planned to go and all I wanted to do was go for a ride. Yeah.
There's also that, like nowadays I spend a lot of time in a work environment with like naturopaths and sort of people focused on human wellness. And there's a lot of talk about nature, getting out where there's trees or vegetation or fresh air and sky and nature. And then you plop my favorite animal right in the middle of all that good for you nature.
Yes.
I can't stay away. I just love it.
Yeah. I think it's something about the lifestyle of it. I just put a video out, actually. I put it on Facebook, and it's only a very short one. And basically it's about a girl who was out riding. She met someone who was lost, so she gave him some directions. And then he said to her, what do you do? And she said, I ride a few horses, teach a couple of lessons, go to some competitions. And then he says, no, I mean, what do you do for a job to earn a living? And she said,
right,
ride a few horses, teach a couple of lessons, go to some competitions. And then he said, have you ever thought about sort of doing something different? You could do this, this, and, you could make a lot of money. And imagine if you could do anything in the world, what would you like to do? If you could do anything, money was no object, what would you like to do? And she said, ride a couple of horses, teach a
exactly. Yeah.
So it's sort of a lifestyle that I think money really can't buy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
But the horse industry itself, I think, the work within the industry, I can remember being at school and your guidance officers would always say, well, you can't work with horses because there's no future, there's no job, there's no career.
Right.
And then I met a really good guidance officer and he said to me, doesn't matter what you do because you're female and you'll only work a couple of years, then you'll get married and never work again. And I thought, brilliant, what a good excuse. So, yep.
Right.
Yeah, so it was always, don't take me too serious because, I'm female. I'll never work again. I'll just get married and be happy in the kitchen and that's it. Yeah.
Hilarious.
Mm-hmm. So I think about some of the different areas of the horse industry and I think, wow, there's, you yourself, you were eventing, but you sort of wanted to bring in this whole media and everything and they've got a radio show.
One thing I have found in the media side of things is when I try to, let's say, interview musicians, because I do have this musical interest, and we have a column that we call Riding with the Stars. So if we go to someone's concert, we'll meet with them after to find out if they have any experience at all with horses and get them to introduce one of their songs that they think horse lovers will like on the radio kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But I've done some other radio projects as well and sort of filled other roles at the campus station here and there. And what I didn't appreciate about horse people right away is that when I started my show, I was like, well, just show up. Here's the room number, just show up. And I'm going to say, what's your current involvement with horses? And then an hour's going to go by and the radio show will be done. And that's what would happen. I did hundreds and hundreds of shows. And then I was doing other volunteer things, and I tried to do that kind of setup with a member of the general public. And they're just not ready to speak on radio about their passion instantly as soon as you put a microphone in front of them. But horse people are just used to, in my experience, like they just will show up and tell you what they love about the animal.
Yep.
No dress rehearsal, no preemptive. You don't send me the list of questions. I'll just come and tell you everything.
Talk about horses. Yeah. Look, it's funny because some people, come to me and they say, I want to talk about feeding. I want to talk about horse care. I want to talk about how to pick the right horse, and you sort of think the next show will just be the same as the last one, but it's just not. It's just different. Everyone is different. Everyone that comes on is different. They've all got their own slant on the way that they do things, and particularly when you start to bring in a few different disciplines and a few different backgrounds and a few different types of horses and a few different areas where horses are kept and fed and everything. Everything's different.
Different experience, different expert that they learned from, whatever it is.
Yep. And even two people learning from the same person, they still have a different slant to it. Yep. All right. And now just thinking, about horse people, what do you think they've got in their character that is different to other people? Like say a musician who might be passionate about their music, but a horse person can get on and talk forever about the horse. What do you think is in the person's character that makes them a bit different, that makes them get that special connection with horses?
I feel like there's an element of the work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, in so many industries, you have to be patient and you have to be tenacious and you have to be disciplined. I think about the musicians that have to work from home. Like, you have to work every day.
Yes.
But with horse people, there's so much of that. And then there's also this empathy, this motivation that, I don't really feel like doing my workout today, but I will because my horse needs their workout.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't really feel like trudging through the snowbank in the wintry cold right now, but I will do it because I have to break the ice in the water bucket so the horse can have a drink.
Yep.
There's that caring for someone else.
Yes, and having that responsibility 7 days a week, public holidays. And like as you
Absolutely.
say, doesn't matter what the weather's like, doesn't matter what anything is like, you've just got to get up and you've just got to do it.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you were going to say, and I know you said about your sponsor, and they obviously influenced you a bit with horses. Anyone else that you think has influenced?
We haven't touched on sort of the current state of affairs, but one of my best mentors is closing the barn doors right now because of this pandemic and the fact that she has 9 school horses and 0 revenue to support them.
Yep.
Today and next month and sort of for the foreseeable future. So Margaret Godson is a Canadian hero, in my opinion. I started riding with her when I was 12. She turned me on to Pony Club. She is an eventer. So when she started eventing, I always loved this. There were 3 levels. There was preliminary, intermediate, and advanced. So my goal has always been to event at least at the prelim level because that's all there was when my coach got started.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole family has a really horsey background, and she's just really well-rounded, like she cares about, I almost want to say, the spirituality of her horses. Like, she's not just looking after them physically and developing good riders and good horses, but she's caring about the emotions of these people and the mental health of all of these beings at the same time.
Yep.
So I've been inspired by her all my life. And, I kind of come and go. Sometimes I teach out of her riding academy, and sometimes I'm off doing my own things, or every once in a while I have a horse project I can ride there. So, like we come and go, but I sort of feel like I always want to go to the Christmas gymkhana. I always want to check in on her birthday in May. She's a really, really important mentor. So the fact after 41 years, she's holding a fundraiser to try to raise, retirement funds for the two oldest school horses and trying to lease out the other ones. It's a really huge time.
Yeah. If she's organising a fundraiser, we should put that on the link to your page as well, which will be at horsechats.com/Kim Logue. We'll put that on your page, and that'll come up when your podcast comes up. And I think that's important, because I think we're horse people and we're all in this together. And, it's a worldwide pandemic, and some countries are affected worse than others. And I think we just need to get in and do what we can to help people. Yeah, we've got the same problem here, because you have a certain income from lessons. Well, the income from lessons has to pay for the horse feed. That's just you have your income, you pay your staff, you pay your horse feed, because your horses are working for you and they're members of your staff. So we've got to pay staff, look after them, because they're the ones that produce the income in the first place.
Yeah. And I just think about these horses and how many people they have taught to ride, and they've taken them from the very beginning, when they're afraid to even walk in the barn, or, they don't know where to stand or how to feed a horse a carrot, to like being out on the cross country course and handling some of those obstacles out there.
Yes.
So much service. In Ontario, the provincial sport office has just launched sort of I think it's called Save the Schoolies, or School Horses in Need or something. But there's like 1,500 school horses in Ontario that they're trying to support right now. So I'll gladly send a link along in case there's people worldwide that are different stages or different financial situations that can pitch in.
Yep. Absolutely.
How long are you guys? Like, how's your life changed since this all started? Your horse life?
Well, because I'm lucky enough to live on acreage and keep my horse here, I can still sort of do horse things, but I'm not doing, because I said before that I do a lot of practical assessments for the college, practical training. So as far as the college goes, while people are still doing online study and they can do, the course is fairly flexible, that they can enroll now, study online, and then when things die down a bit, they can do their practical assessments and practical training at a later stage, but at least get in and get that started. It's probably going to, affect more people towards the end of their course. That, although we do normally try and do it, that they do training throughout their course. It's just that at the moment we just can't do any training, any of that practical training. So, it's just
differently.
Yeah, so it's our students trying to work out with them. They're trying to, organise to get some training, but we've got to keep this social distancing, so it's not quite as easy as what we normally would. So I think, when we don't have to keep the social distancing, we will recover. But a riding school that leases part of my property, well, it's a club. It's not a riding school. It's a club that has lessons. And they've been, affected quite a lot, because most of their lessons are beginner lessons. So beginner lessons, they've got to be there. They help them tack up the horse. They put them on the lunge. They, get them going. They help them mount, so that whole social distancing can't come in for them. So they've lost all their income from lessons. But lucky there's a little bit of income then from agistment, which is like livery or boarding, so there's some there, So I think we're all taking a hit. I think without getting into politics, I think there's a country that's got a certain amount of answering to do, of procedures that weren't put in place in the early stages. But I think we'll let the politicians sort that one out.
Yeah, I'm scared for the future, because I feel like we were already a disappearing demographic. I remember at the Equine Industry Symposium in Guelph a couple years ago, I learned that the average age of a horse person in Canada was 65 years old.
Wow.
So I felt like the expertise in the human population was disappearing rapidly. And now I'm worried about the closure of so many facilities with these, experts at the helm.
Where did they get those figures from? That's fairly old, because that means for every 16-year-old, there's got to be someone over 100 or 100.
They published it in Horse Canada. I'm sure I could rustle up the link and send it to you. It was, it really resonated with me when they were showing the giant economic impact as well, which you don't, like at a horse farm in Ontario, I don't feel that there's a lot of money, or affluence all around. But when you do the math of how much those hay bales cost and how much that paddock is worth in real estate value, like the economic impact was also stunning. So I'll see if I can send you that article.
Yeah. I think there's, a certain amount of belief that you work with horses. It's like my guidance officer said, you work with horses, you'll just never had a career, and, you'll always be picking up manure for the rest of your life, because that's pretty much the only horse job, in his opinion, that there was. But I think, as you go on, you talk about the horse industry, there's so many professionals in the horse industry. There's so many things and they cross. And we talk about the horse industry, it's not always specifically, because if we look even at this podcast, I'm thinking I'm working in the horse industry, but I'm sure that some statistics are going to say that we're in the podcast industry or the media industry, So horses are involved in so many other different industries.
True.
And I think that's important. Yeah. I've absolutely enjoyed chatting to you today, Kim, but what have you got? Normally I ask people what they've got planned, for in the future. What are you looking forward to with the horses? I know you're going to be helping with this fundraiser, but anything else we need to be aware of?
I'm excited because there's a couple of University of Guelph students coming on board, hopefully over the summer and into the fall. So we'll be launching some new segments on HoofBeats, and I have a new column in a provincial horse magazine coming up. So that actually feels like pressure. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a new project. I have to write an article. And when all the dust settles, I really have to forge out some riding time, because I don't have a horse in my backyard here. And with the place I was teaching sort of closing its doors and a bunch of things changing, I have like a pretty clean slate to create some more saddle time in my future. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Perfect. Yeah, I think, the amount of people that say, if I had a clean slate, I could do this and this and this, and then all of a sudden the slate's not clean anymore. There's too many projects on the ball. Yeah, I think I'm at the stage where I do have quite a few projects, and it's just a matter of prioritising. What's the most important project at this moment, at this time? Yeah.
Yeah. And you record Skype. And how much editing do you do?
None. You're going to get the whole thing. Everything you've said, that's it.
Okay, well, I'll stop talking then.
No, I do send it off to someone, so if there's any sort of background noise, it's more to do with the quality.
Yeah.
And there was something there, I'm not sure if someone came in and was talking to you. There was a little bit of background there that might get edited out.
At one point I lost you on the headphones, so I took you out of headphones and just used the computer mic.
Okay, yeah. But that's the sort of thing, because we're on 2 tracks, it can be, it's just more improving the quality. So, yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Now, great to talk to you, Kim. I think, really good. And I think anytime we can chat again in the future, I think that'd be really good.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so very much for your time. I can't wait to keep in touch.
All right, good to talk to you. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.
If you've enjoyed this chat, then please comment, rate and subscribe. If you'd like any changes or recommendations for guests, then please contact us through horsechats.com. And while you're online, have a look at the government-accredited courses at internationalhorsecollege.com. Registered Training Organisation 31352.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.